Hi guys, welcome back to The Contented Plant. Today we are going to repot my pink princess philodendron. If you watched my last video, we repotted it from a very large pot into this smaller pot here, and it has since done so well. It's kind of growing out of the bottom here, and it's not holding moisture very well in this pot. I think it's just because it has a little too much airflow and this plant is growing very fast. So I am going to go ahead and put it into a more permanent pot, and we are going to discuss some problems I've had with its health and also how it's growing for me. So let's get started. So this plant has been a little bit of a learning curve for me. This is the first pink princess I've had, and I've had a few issues and some trial and error that I've done with it, and I'll explain kind of what those are. The first thing is you'll notice some of these leaves down here are yellowing pretty badly. And that's kind of the case, along the bottom here. They just don't look very good. I had this plant sitting in my kitchen window where it gets really bright morning, kind of direct indirect sunlight, depending on what kind of day. Now I have my Albo Monstera I had it in that same window and it did just fine. So I assumed that this one would too, since they have similar lighting needs. And I think this one ended up getting sunburned. So I think that's where some of the yellowing issues have come from. And I also think that because it's not able to retain water very well in this little pot, I think that's also contributing to the yellowing leaves. The reason I think that is because I've had the same issue with this one. This is my Philodendron Golden Goddess, and it was doing the same thing. It had yellowing leaves. The new leaves, you can see they were kind of curly and just not great. So I took it out of its little pot that it just seemed to not be doing very well in, and I put it into this bigger pot, and it has since sprouted new growth all along the bottom here. And look at these beautiful leaves that it's putting out now. They're just huge, happy and healthy. So I moved the pink princess from the kitchen over to this window here where it gets bright and direct light all day, but it does not have that direct hot sunlight shining on it through the window. I just don't think it was handling it very well. Okay, it's really hard to get it all in the frame because it has become quite tall. I'll try and insert a picture of what it looked like when we repotted it. I believe it was only up to about here, and it has put on so many new leaves, and now it is this tall. And the ones that are the newer ones, they look really good. They look really healthy, and it just keeps on sprouting new leaves. Every time it puts a new one out, it's already got another one that's growing behind it. This one is my favorite. Look how pretty it is. I love that one. So we are going to repot it and see if that helps. I've also noticed that there is a ton of new growth down at the bottom of the stem. Like, it put this little tiny leaf out here, it's got another one here, and it has another one right here. So it has 3 growth points that are coming out of the bottom of the soil. So whatever is happening with these leaves that's causing them to yellow, I don't think it's anything that we need to be concerned about or super detrimental to the health of the plant, because there are a lot of indicators that it's actually doing pretty well. So the roots are definitely coming out of the bottom. It's time to repot it, and then we will see how it does from there. I'm gonna use my favorite potting mix, which is about 60% potting mix and 20% perlite, 20% orchid bark. Okay, I've taken as much of the old soil off as I can. You can see that it has put out quite a bit of roots. The root ball on this, when I originally got this plant, was tiny. I think it was basically like a couple little strings. So I'm very happy with the size of that root ball, and all of the roots look really healthy. There's no sign of root rot. So whatever is going on with the leaves, I don't think it has to do with root rot, which is always a good thing to see. So I've cleaned off quite a bit of that old soil, and now we are going to repot it with some fresh soil, and I think it's gonna do quite a bit better. Okay, I have it all repotted. You can see it looks quite a bit more secure. It was so wobbly in this tiny little pot here. It was just getting way too big and way too top heavy. That pot just kept falling over whenever I would touch it or water it. So it was definitely time, and we will see how it does in the new pot. So if we continue to see that more and more leaves are yellowing and it's just not doing well, then I'm probably going to propagate the top of it. I'm just going to kind of chop it off and see what happens. I suspect the plant will put out some new growth points if I do that. I really can't see a reason for these leaves yellowing in the roots. So my guess would be, one, it needed to be repotted, and two, it was probably uneven watering on my part, because if you have a really uneven watering schedule and these plants are allowed to get really dry, that can also cause yellowing leaves. So I will need to be better about watering. Now that it's in a pot like this, that's gonna help me out a little bit. If they're in a pot that's too small, they dry out a lot quicker than if they're in a pot that's kind of the right size for them. And that's all I have for you guys on the Pink Princess Philodendron. I will continue to do updates so you guys can see if it's doing better in this pot or if it's kind of maintaining or even doing worse. Let's hope that doesn't happen, but I suspect it's gonna do a lot better in its new pot. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time at the Contented Plant. Bye-bye.